The courtyard of the alien palace was silent, but the silence felt heavy, like a storm waiting to explode. Tall stone towers rose into the bright sky, shining like glass. Hundreds of alien nobles stood together in a half-circle, their strange eyes watching the center of the courtyard. Every one of them waited for the same thing, the final choosing ceremony. In the middle stood a young alien princess named Lyra, only 10 years old in human years. She looked small compared to the tall warriors around her. Her skin was soft lavender, glowing slightly under the bright daylight. Her eyes were large and full of fear. A single tear ran down her cheek, leaving a thin mark. She was shaking, but she stood straight, because every eye in the courtyard was on her. This was the most sacred tradition of her people, the Alindra. When a royal child reached the age of choice, they had to pick a new father, someone who would guide them for the rest of their life. It sounded simple for outsiders, but for the Alindra, it was the most serious moment in a young royal's life. The person chosen would gain honor, power, and massive responsibility. Most expected Lyra to choose one of the strong Alindran warriors standing proudly behind her, but Lyra did not turn toward them. Instead, she kept looking at the far edge of the courtyard, where one human stood completely out of place. He was a soldier named Captain Aaronhale, brought to the palace as a guest after saving an Alindran scout team weeks earlier. He was tall, muscular, and wore worn-out armor that looked dull compared to the polished alien suits around him. He stood very still, trying to avoid attention, but it was impossible. Every alien in the courtyard stared at him with confusion or dislike. Humans were not respected here. In fact, many Alindra believed humans were nothing more than weaker creatures, useful only for labor or simple tasks. Some even called them soft pets. But Aaron did not act weak. He stood with calm focus, his eyes sharp, his posture strong. Lyra had watched him for days. She had watched how he spoke kindly to everyone, how he refused to show fear even when surrounded by towering aliens, how he stood up for smaller servants when stronger warriors pushed them aside. He reminded her of someone, a father she had lost to war years ago. The ceremony leader, an elder with golden skin, lifted his staff. "It is time," he said, his voice echoing across the courtyard. "Princess Lyra, choose your father for life." Lyra looked around nervously. Her fingers trembled. Her breath shook. All the tall alien candidates straightened proudly, expecting her to call their names. But instead, Lyra took a single step forward. Then she pointed. She pointed directly at Aaron. Gasps burst across the courtyard like a wave of thunder. Several warriors took a step back in shock. Some nobles shouted angrily. One guard dropped his spear. Aaron blinked. He looked behind him, thinking she was pointing at someone else. But there was no one else. The elder's eyes widened. "Child, you point at the human? This is no joke. You must choose one of your own kind." But Lyra stepped forward again. Her voice shook, but she spoke loudly enough for all to hear. "I choose him. The human, Captain Aaronhale." The elder frowned deeply. "This is not our way. He is not a Lindran. He cannot be father to a royal child." Lyra lifted her chin, trying not to cry. "You told me the rule. We are allowed to choose any being who has shown honor, any being who makes us feel safe, any being who can teach us courage. He did all those things, so I choose him." The courtyard went silent again. Even the wind seemed to stop. Aaron felt hundreds of eyes burning into him. He had faced alien beasts and battles, but this was different. This was worse. He raised his hand slowly. "Look," he said carefully, "I don't think she means—" Lyra ran to him and grabbed his hand. Her small fingers held on tightly, as if she was afraid someone would pull her away. "I choose you," she whispered. "Please don't leave me alone." Aaron's chest tightened. He saw fear in her eyes. Deep fear. Not fear of the ceremony, but fear of the people behind her. The tall warriors staring with anger. The nobles whispering threats. Something was wrong here. Something Lyra was too afraid to speak about. Before he could answer, loud footsteps echoed across the courtyard. A tall Alindran general stepped forward, his armor shining brightly. His voice thundered. "This cannot happen. You will choose a warrior of our people, not a weak human." The royal line will not be stained by this insult. Lyra hid behind Aaron, gripping his armor. Aaron stepped in front of her and held out his hand to stop the general. His voice was calm but strong. She made her choice. Several aliens growled angrily. Weapons were drawn. The elder raised his staff again and shouted, "Stop! The tradition is sacred. No one may harm the chosen father." The general clenched his jaw. "Then we challenge the rule itself." Aaron looked down at Lyra. She looked up at him with wide, terrified eyes. He realized something. This was not just a ceremony. This was a battlefield, and a child had just chosen him as her only shield. The general pointed a blade directly at Aaron. If the human wishes to accept his role, he must prove he deserves it. Lyra's hand trembled in Aaron's. He took a deep breath. "I accept." The courtyard changed the moment Aaron spoke those words. Every alien in the place reacted at once. Some gasped, some shouted, others stared in silence, shocked that a human would dare accept such a challenge. The general stepped back, surprised for a moment. He expected fear. He expected the human to refuse. But Aaron stood tall, his expression calm. Princess Lyra still clung to his arm. Her small fingers were tight, almost shaking. Aaron placed his hand gently over hers. "It's going to be okay," he said softly. But Lyra did not look convinced. The elder, holding the staff of tradition, looked at Aaron with something like respect mixed with concern. "Captain Hale, the trial of worth is not simple. It is not meant for humans. You face danger that may kill you." Aaron nodded. "I understand." "You may refuse," the elder continued. "If you refuse, the princess must choose again." Lyra interrupted, her voice rising with fear. "No, I will not choose again. I want him." Several nobles murmured angrily. The general clenched his fists. Aaron stepped slightly in front of her, shielding her. "I said I accept. You don't need to repeat yourself." The elder exhaled slowly. "Very well. Prepare the arena." A loud horn echoed across the palace grounds. The floor under their feet shook slightly, and massive stone doors began to slide open on the far side of the courtyard. Inside was a deep, circular arena, glowing with bright daylight from an open ceiling. The walls were tall and carved with symbols that looked ancient. The general turned to Aaron with a cold smile. "Human, in this trial you must prove you are worthy to protect a child of royal blood. You will face 3 challenges. If you fail even one, you die." Lyra grabbed Aaron's hand again. "Please don't do this," she whispered. Her voice cracked. "They don't want you to win, they want you gone." Aaron knelt down so he was eye level with her. "Then I'll just have to disappoint them," he said with a soft smile. Her eyes filled with tears, but she nodded. The general motioned for guards to escort Aaron into the arena. The heavy doors closed behind him with a loud boom. The air inside felt hot and dry. The arena floor was rough stone, cracked in places, as if something huge had struck it before. Alien warriors gathered around the edge of the arena, standing high above like spectators. Lyra was led to the viewing platform, though she resisted for a moment, wanting to stay close. When she looked down at Aaron, her face was filled with fear and guilt. Aaron looked around cautiously. He was used to battlefields, but this place felt different. It felt designed to break a person's spirit. A loud voice echoed across the arena. It was the general. "First challenge, the beast of the deep caverns." The ground trembled. A metal gate lifted on the far side of the arena, releasing a deep growl from the darkness behind it. The sound was so loud it echoed through Aaron's chest. From the shadows, a massive creature crawled out, for legs, thick muscles, and dark, stone-like skin. Its eyes glowed like burning coals. Spikes ran along its spine, and thick claws scratched the floor with each step. Lyra gasped. Even some alien warriors stepped back. Aaron whispered to himself, "All right, big guy, let's see what you've got." The beast roared and charged. Dust flew into the air as it slammed forward with surprising speed. Aaron rolled to the side just in time. The creature smashed into the stone where he had stood, leaving a huge crater. Aaron scrambled to his feet and backed away. He had no weapons, no armor besides what he normally wore, no shield, And the beast was at least 3 times his size. But he had fought worse before. Not bigger, but worse. The creature lunged again. This time, Aaron waited until the last second and dove under its body. As he slid, he reached up and grabbed one of its softer underbelly folds. The beast roared and twisted. Aaron was thrown off, rolling across the stone floor. Pain shot through his arm, but he forced himself up. Above, Lyra screamed, "Please stop. He's not a warrior. This is not fair." The general shouted back. He accepted the trial. Aaron steadied his breathing. He watched the beast carefully now. It was strong but slow to turn. Its skin was hard like stone, but underneath there were vulnerable spots. The beast charged again. Aaron dodged, ran toward a wall, climbed it using cracks for grip, and then leaped onto the creature's back. He wrapped one arm around one of the spikes and used the other to force its head down. The creature roared and shook violently. Aaron held on with everything he had. His muscles burned. His lungs felt tight. The beast swung its body against a stone wall, trying to crush him. Still, he held on. Lyra stood frozen with fear, hands covering her mouth. Aaron shifted his weight, slid down the creature's side, and drove his elbow hard into the soft spot behind its jaw. The beast staggered. He struck again. Then again. Finally, the beast collapsed with a heavy thud, breathing loudly but defeated. The arena fell silent. Aaron stood up slowly. His arms were shaking and his clothes were torn. Dust covered him from head to toe. He looked up at Lyra. "I told you I'd be okay," he said. Her eyes filled with tears of relief. But the general was not pleased. "Second challenge," he shouted. His voice was sharp and angry. "Bring out the shadows." Lyra's face turned pale. Aaron prepared himself again. This was far from over. The arena lights dimmed suddenly, even though it was still daytime outside. A strange darkness spread across the stone floor like a fog made of ink. The temperature dropped. Aaron could see his breath in the cold air. Above, Princess Lyra gripped the railing so tightly her knuckles turned pale. She knew this part of the trial, and she hated it. The general's voice echoed across the darkening arena. "Second challenge. Face the shadows." The challenge of fear. Aaron frowned. Fear? That's it. But as he looked around, he realized it was not that simple. The darkness wasn't natural. It moved. It shifted. It whispered. Shapes formed inside it like twisting smoke. The elder spoke gently from above. "Captain Hale, be warned. The shadows do not attack your body. They attack your mind. Everything inside your heart, pain, fear, grief, they will show it to you. You cannot fight them with strength." Aaron exhaled slowly. Of course not. That would be too easy. The audience fell silent. Even the alien warriors lowered their voices. Everyone knew the shadows showed a person's deepest truth, the kind they tried hardest to hide. The cold darkness crawled toward Aaron's boots. He stepped back instinctively, but there was nowhere to run. The fog surrounded him, thick and heavy. Everything around him faded. The arena, the aliens, the sunlight. Then suddenly, he was no longer in the arena. He was standing in a burnt forest. Smoke filled the air. The sky was glowing orange. The crackle of fire echoed everywhere. Aaron froze. He knew this place. "No," he whispered. "Not this." A small voice echoed nearby. "Dad? Dad, where are you?" Aaron's eyes widened. A sharp pain stabbed his heart. He turned toward the voice, and there she was, a little girl with brown hair and bright eyes, wearing the same blue dress she always wore when he left for missions. His daughter, Emily. But she wasn't real. She couldn't be. She ran toward him, choking on smoke. "I'm scared." Aaron dropped to his knees. His hands shook. "Emily, sweetheart, I'm here. I'm right here." She reached out to him, but as soon as her fingers touched his, she turned to ash and blew away in the wind. Aaron's heart broke again, just as it had years ago. He shut his eyes tightly and took a deep breath. This isn't real. She's gone. I know that. This isn't real. But the shadows were not finished. A deep, cruel voice echoed behind him. "You left her." Aaron spun around. A tall figure stepped from the smoke. It was himself, another Aaron, wearing the same armor, but with empty black eyes. "You failed," the shadow version said. "You weren't there when she needed you. You couldn't save your own daughter. How can you protect a princess of another species when you couldn't protect your own child?" Aaron clenched his fists. His jaw tightened. His shadow took a step forward. "You are weak." Another step. A broken soldier. Another. A father who failed. Aaron felt the words like knives. Memories he tried to bury surged up. His daughter's voice, the fire, the accident he couldn't stop. He could almost feel the heat again. The fear. The helplessness. His legs shook. But then he heard another voice. Faint. Soft. Trembling. Aaron. It was Lyra's voice. Even through the darkness, he heard her crying above the arena. "Don't listen to them. Don't believe the shadows. You're stronger than they are." The shadow version of Aaron hissed, annoyed. "You think that child believes in you? She only chose you because she is scared. She knows you'll fail again." Aaron breathed slowly. He lifted his head. "No, she trusted me, and I won't break that trust." The shadow version snarled. "Then prove it." Aaron stepped forward, right into the face of his own dark reflection. His heart pounded, his vision blurred. The dark version raised a hand to strike. But Aaron didn't step back. He stood his ground. "I failed once," Aaron said quietly, "but I won't fail her, and I won't fail Lyra." Light burst from his chest, soft at first, then growing brighter. The smoke around him dissolved. The dark forest faded. The shadow version screamed in protest, then shattered into 1,000 sparkles of light. The arena returned in a flash. Bright daylight filled his eyes again. The fog was gone. The cold vanished. Aaron stood alone in the center of the arena, breathing hard. Sweat dripped down his face. His knees felt weak, but he stayed standing. The crowd was silent. Princess Lyra had tears streaming down her face, but now they were tears of relief. She shouted across the arena, "You did it! You beat the shadows!" Even the elder looked impressed. Few warriors of our kind survived the shadows without breaking. But the general's eyes were full of anger. He gripped the edge of the platform until his knuckles turned white. He yelled, "Enough! Last trial. Bring out the guards." Lyra's expression changed immediately. She whispered in horror, "No, not them, not the royal guards." Aaron narrowed his eyes. "What's the last challenge?" The general's voice thundered. "To prove you can protect the princess, you must survive a fight against 6 royal guards at once." The crowd gasped. Even the elder stepped forward. "General, this is—" "It is tradition," the general snapped. 6 tall, armored alien guards stepped into the arena, their energy spears glowing. Aaron cracked his neck slowly. "That's fine," he said. He lifted his fists. "I'm just getting warmed up." The 6 royal guards stepped into the arena with slow, heavy footsteps. Their armor shone under the bright daylight, each plate carved with sharp symbols of authority. They were tall, almost twice the height of a human, and their bodies moved with perfect discipline. Energy spears crackled in their hands. Every alien in the audience leaned forward. This was not a normal trial. This was a massacre waiting to happen. Princess Lyra held the railing so tightly her hands turned white. She turned to the elder, desperate. "You must stop this. He can't fight 6 of them." The elder frowned. "I cannot break tradition." "But the general is abusing it," she cried. "He's doing this because he hates humans." The elder looked down at the arena. His face was troubled, but he did not move. "We must see how this plays out." Lyra shook her head, tears falling again. She turned back to Aaron. He stood completely still, watching the guards spread out. They formed a half-circle around him. Spears pointed forward. Their armor hummed, powering shields and weapons. Aaron rolled his shoulders slowly. His arms still hurt from fighting the beast. His body still felt cold from the shadows. But he didn't show it. The general's voice echoed proudly across the arena. "Royal guards of the palace, begin." The first guard moved faster than Aaron expected. In 1 second, he was 10 meters away. In the next, he was right in front of Aaron, spear thrusting toward his chest. Aaron barely dodged, twisting sideways and grabbing the guard's wrist. The alien strength was overwhelming, like gripping a steel beam. Aaron used the momentum to pull himself past the spear and slam an elbow into the guard's jaw. The alien staggered back, shocked that a human hit that hard, but the other guards were already on him. A spear slashed at Aaron's side. He jumped back. Another guard thrust from behind. Aaron ducked. A third swung horizontally, aiming to knock him off his feet. Aaron leaped into a roll, dust flying everywhere as the spears clashed above his head. Sparks crackled in the air. The audience gasped. Some even shouted, "He's too fast. How is he dodging them? He moves like a trained Alindran scout. He's only human." Aaron stood again, breathing hard. He looked at the guards. "I don't want to hurt you," he said honestly. The guards didn't care. They moved together as one. 3 came from the front, 2 from the sides, 1 from behind. 6 at once. Lyra screamed, "Aaron, run!" But Aaron didn't run. He crouched low, eyes sharp. Years of training, battlefields, and close combat flashed through his mind. The first guard thrust a spear. Aaron caught the shaft with both hands, twisting. The spear bent just enough to throw the guard off balance. Aaron grabbed his armor and slammed a knee into his stomach. The guard fell to his knees. Another spear came from the left. Aaron blocked it with a bent spear, sparks flying. He kicked the guard's legs out from under him. But then, a spear jabbed into Aaron's shoulder. He grunted, stumbling backward. Princess Lyra screamed his name. Aaron grabbed the spear point with his hand and pulled it out. Blood slipped down his arm, but he ignored it. The guard who struck him stepped back, shocked that the human was still standing. Aaron exhaled sharply. "All right, my turn." He rushed forward, faster than any of the guards expected. He jumped onto a guard's knee, then onto his shoulder, then flipped backward, kicking him in the helmet. The guard fell like a dropped boulder. The audience exploded with noise. Even the elder whispered, "Impossible." The general's eyes widened with anger. Aaron landed on his feet, sweating and hurting, but still ready. Another guard swung his spear at Aaron's legs. Aaron jumped over it and grabbed the weapon. With one powerful twist, he ripped the spear from the guard's hands and spun it around. Now he had the weapon. The guards hesitated. It was the first time they looked unsure. Aaron smirked. "Come on, then." 2 guards charged together. Aaron blocked one blow, then slid under another. He used the blunt end of the spear to strike both guards in the chest, knocking the air out of them. They crashed to the floor, for guards were down. 2 remained. These 2 were the strongest. Their armor glowed brighter, shields fully activated. They marched forward slowly, not rushing like the others. They moved with the deadly precision of elite warriors. Aaron tightened his grip on the spear. The first elite guard struck with lightning speed, sparks flying as the spear slashed through the air. Aaron blocked, but the force sent him sliding backward across the stone floor. The second elite guard attacked from behind, smashing the blunt end of his spear into Aaron's ribs. Aaron fell to one knee, coughing. Lyra sobbed, "Stop it. Please stop." The general ignored her. His eyes stayed focused on Aaron, waiting for him to fail. The 2 elite guards approached again. Aaron pushed himself up slowly. He coughed blood onto the stone. He thought of Lyra's terrified face. He thought of Emily, his daughter, smiling at him from the past. And he stood. He tightened his fists, dropping the spear. The guards charged. Aaron stepped forward and grabbed the first guard's spear with bare hands. The force burned his palms, but he held tight. He twisted, pulled, and slammed his elbow into the guard's helmet. The guard fell with a thundering crash. The last guard swung at Aaron's head. Aaron ducked, grabbed the guard's armor, and used all his strength to flip him onto the ground. Silence filled the arena. All 6 guards were down. Aaron stood in the center, dripping sweat, breathing hard, but still standing. Princess Lyra burst into tears of relief and joy. The elder raised his staff high. The human has passed all 3 trials. But the general's face twisted with rage. He shouted, "This is not over." Aaron turned to face him, ready for whatever came next. The Chamber of Echoes was nothing like Daniel expected. He thought it would look like a courtroom or a council hall. Instead, it looked ancient, far older than the shining metal walls of the palace above. Huge stone pillars formed a circle, and strange markings covered every surface. Soft blue fire floated in the air like silent candles. Everything hummed with a deep, steady vibration, as if the room itself was breathing. Daniel walked in slowly, Leora close beside him. Queen Serana entered last, her long cloak dragging across the polished stone floor. Many alien elders stood around them, each glowing with patterns on their skin that reacted to the chamber's strange energy. The door slid shut behind them with a loud, echoing thud. Daniel suddenly felt very small. Leora squeezed his arm gently. "Don't be afraid," she whispered, but her voice trembled slightly. She was afraid, too. The High Elder stepped forward. His body was tall and thin, his skin almost transparent. Blue light pulsed under his surface like rivers moving beneath ice. "Daniel," he said in a deep, slow voice, "you were brought here because the princess declared you her chosen father. But before such a bond is accepted, the chamber must test you." Daniel swallowed hard. "Test me how?" The High Elder raised a long arm and pointed toward a wide, circular platform in the center of the room. "Step into the circle. The chamber will show us your heart." Daniel glanced at Leora. She nodded, though her eyes were full of worry. He stepped forward. The platform lit up as soon as he crossed onto it. Blue lines raced outward from his feet, spreading like cracks in glass. A low hum grew louder. Daniel felt a cool wind swirl around his body, even though the air was still. Then everything changed. The blue flames around the room dimmed. Darkness wrapped around the chamber like a blanket. Daniel blinked, and suddenly he wasn't in the chamber anymore. He stood in the middle of a battlefield. The ground shook under explosions. Smoke filled the sky. Daniel heard cries, human voices and alien ones. Shattered buildings burned at the edges of his vision. He ducked instinctively as something flew over his head. "What is this?" Daniel shouted. A deep voice echoed around him. "Your truth." Daniel spun around, searching for the source. The mist cleared, and he saw something that made his stomach twist. A human soldier ran across the battlefield, wounded, limping, terrified. Behind him came 4 towering alien warriors with glowing weapons. Daniel recognized their armor immediately. They looked like Dravari soldiers, the very species everyone feared. The soldier collapsed. The aliens raised their blades. "No!" Daniel ran forward, forgetting everything else. He wasn't thinking about tests or chambers. He wasn't thinking about fear. He just knew someone needed help. He threw himself between the soldier and the aliens, raising his arms even though he knew he couldn't stop them. But before the blades fell, everything froze. The battlefield went silent. The aliens vanished. The smoke faded. Daniel was standing alone. Then the scene shifted again. He was inside a small home, his home on Earth. His younger self knelt beside a broken robot toy. He remembered this moment. He had saved all his allowance to buy that toy, and when it broke, he cried for hours. But in the memory, he saw something he had forgotten. His little sister quietly picked up the robot's pieces and handed them to him one by one, trying to help. The voice echoed again. "You protect. You care, even without reward." Another flash. Daniel now saw Leora, standing alone in a dark hallway in the palace, long before he arrived on the planet. She looked tired and lonely. She reached out towards something invisible, as if she wanted a hand to hold. Daniel felt a deep pain in his chest. He whispered, "She never had anyone." The voice spoke softly this time. "She chose you because your heart calls to hers." Lights burst around him. The battlefield, the memories, the images, everything shattered like glass. Daniel gasped and found himself back in the Chamber of Echoes, standing on the glowing platform. His legs shook as he stepped off it. Every elder watched him in silence. Their glowing patterns had changed color. Now they shimmered with a soft, warm gold. Leora rushed forward. "Daniel, are you okay?" He nodded weakly. I think so." The High Elder raised both arms. The chamber has spoken. Daniel of Earth, your heart is true. You show compassion, even in danger. You value others above yourself. Such qualities are rare among many species, including our own. Whispers filled the room. Queen Serana stepped closer. Her voice was calm, but her eyes shone with emotion. Daniel, the bond Leora chose, it is not just symbolic. It is sacred. You are now recognized as her father in the eyes of our people. Daniel blinked, stunned. Wait, officially? Yes, Serana said. And with that bond comes responsibility. Great responsibility. Leora grabbed his hand and held it tightly. She smiled, not a polite royal smile, but a real, warm one. I knew you were worthy. I felt it from the moment I saw you. Before Daniel could respond, the High Elder's expression darkened. There is something else, he said. The chamber also revealed a shadow, a future threat. The room fell silent. Daniel's heart pounded. A threat? To Leora? To all of us, the elder said. And it is coming soon. Daniel felt a chill crawl up his spine. Whatever was coming, it wasn't small. It was something big, something dangerous, something that might tear their new bond apart before it even began. The Chamber of Echoes shook with a cold silence after the High Elder spoke of the coming threat. Even the floating blue flame seemed to dim, as if they, too, understood the danger approaching. Daniel felt a sharp weight in his chest. He had barely processed becoming Leora's official father, and now there was something else, something dark, heading toward them. Queen Serana stepped closer to the High Elder, her face tight. "What did the chamber show?" she asked. The High Elder closed his glowing eyes. "A ship," he said slowly. "A massive ship, hidden within a storm of energy. It carries a force unlike anything we have seen." Daniel frowned. "Is another alien species? Someone attacking you?" The Elder shook his head. "No, it is not a species. It is a collector." Daniel's eyebrows rose. "Collector? Of what?" The Elder's voice lowered. "Of rare beings. Of unique genetics. Of powerful bloodlines." Leora's hand instantly tightened around Daniel's. Queen Serana whispered, "They are coming for my daughter." A cold silence filled the room again. Leora stepped forward. "Why would they want me?" The High Elder looked at her with deep sadness. "Because you are the last of the royal ether blood. The energy inside you is ancient and priceless. To the collector, you are a treasure." Daniel felt a wave of protectiveness hit him like a sudden storm. He stepped in front of Leora, without thinking. "Well, they're not taking her," he said firmly. Several elders murmured in surprise at his confidence. Queen Serana watched him with new respect, but the High Elder raised a warning hand. "Courage is good, Daniel, but strength alone will not be enough. This enemy does not fight with honor. They steal, they manipulate, they corrupt." Daniel clenched his jaw. "So what do we do?" The Elder pointed toward the chamber walls. The chamber showed another vision, a path of survival, but only if the princess's guardian stands ready. "Guardian?" Daniel looked around. "Do you mean me?" Leora turned to him, her expression soft but full of fear. "Yes, the chamber chose you." Daniel blinked. "I'm not a warrior. I'm not trained. I can barely hold a weapon without dropping it." Queen Serana stepped forward. "That is why you'll be trained. Starting now." The elders nodded in agreement. "You carry something inside you," the High Elder said. "A rare human trait. A strong heart. It is more powerful than any weapon." Daniel looked down at his hands. Ordinary human hands, shaking slightly. "Why me?" he asked quietly. Leora stepped closer. "Because you care for others more than yourself, and because I believe in you." Her voice trembled slightly, and Daniel realized she was scared. Not for herself, but for him. He put a hand on her shoulder. "I'm not leaving you alone. Whatever this collector wants, we're fighting back together." Leora smiled faintly, and Queen Serana exhaled with relief. But the High Elder raised one long finger. "There is more you must understand. The collector will not wait. You have only a few days before they arrive." Daniel's stomach sank. "Days? That's all?" Yes, the elder said. Their ship bends time and space. They can cross galaxies in hours. Daniel rubbed his forehead. Great. No pressure. Queen Serana touched Leora's arm gently. Daughter, you must go with Daniel. The palace is no longer safe. What? Leora looked shocked. Mother, this is my home. And that is why it is the first place a collector will look. Serana said, we must hide you in the outer forest, near the ancient guardian's temple. Leora's eyes widened. The temple? But it's forbidden. The temple is the safest place on the planet, Serana replied. And Daniel must undergo his first test there. Daniel lifted his head. Test. Yes, the High Elder said. To become the princess's guardian, you must first unlock a dormant ability inside yourself. Daniel laughed lightly, though the sound came out shaky. Me? Abilities? I'm just a normal guy. The elder shook his head. No human is ordinary. Not truly. And the chamber has chosen. You'll discover what is hidden within you. Daniel swallowed. This was getting stranger by the minute. Queen Serana turned to the guards. Assemble a transport. Prepare for departure. The guards rushed out. Leora looked up at Daniel with wide silver eyes. Are you sure you want this? You could walk away. No one would blame you. Daniel stared at her. This princess from another world who had chosen him as her father trusted him without hesitation, and saw something in him that he didn't even see himself. He shook his head. I'm not walking away from you. Not now, not ever. Leora's eyes softened, and she gave him a small, emotional smile. Before they could say more, a deep rumbling sound echoed above the chamber. The ground trembled beneath their feet. Queen Serana stiffened. That sound, that is not thunder. A guard burst into the room. Your Majesty! A strange energy cloud has formed above the palace, like a storm pulling itself open. The High Elder's eyes widened. It is too soon. The collector is already here. Daniel's heartbeat thundered in his ears. Leora grabbed his hand tightly. Daniel, we have to run. The palace shook again as the strange energy storm boiled across the sky. It looked like a swirling black cloud, but inside it flashed bright silver lightning that moved in straight lines instead of crooked ones. Unnatural, controlled, intelligent. The collector had arrived. Queen Serana turned sharply to her guards. Get my daughter and Daniel to the transport now. The guards formed a circle around Daniel and Leora, guiding them toward a narrow hallway that led out of the chamber. But the floor vibrated violently, and a deep metallic sound echoed through the walls. Daniel looked back to the High Elder. Is it them? The elder nodded slowly, his eyes glowing with fear. Yes, they are piercing our shield. Leora squeezed Daniel's arm. We must reach the forest. The temple can protect us. But as they ran down the hallway, something slammed into the palace exterior, so powerful that dust rained from the ceiling. A guard stumbled. Daniel grabbed his arm, pulling him up before he fell. Keep moving, Daniel shouted. They reached the transport bay. The sleek silver ship was ready, engines glowing softly. But before they could enter, the air around them rippled like water. A tall figure stepped out of the distortion. Everyone froze. The creature stood nearly 8 feet tall, its body covered in smooth metallic armor that looked grown, not built. Its face had no mouth, only 2 long vertical eyes that glowed white. There were no visible weapons, yet the air around it hummed with dangerous power. Leora gasped. Collector? The creature tilted its head slightly, studying them. When it spoke, its voice came from everywhere, like a whisper inside every mind. Royal ether blood detected. The guards raised their weapons, but the collector simply lifted a hand. Blue energy pulsed outward in a silent wave. All the guards flew backward as if hit by a giant invisible force, collapsing unconscious. Daniel felt fear burning through his veins, but he stepped in front of Leora anyway. The collector focused its glowing eyes on him. Human, it said, you are irrelevant. Move aside. Daniel shook his head. No. The alien stared at him. You cannot stop me. Daniel didn't argue. He didn't shout. He simply said, She's my daughter. The collector paused. You share no blood. Your claim is invalid. Daniel stepped closer, fists clenched even though he knew he couldn't win a fight against a being like this. "You don't get it," he said quietly. "Family isn't only blood. It's choice. She chose me, and I chose her. You're not touching her." Something flickered behind the collector's cold eyes, a tiny spark of surprise. Then the air around Daniel began to vibrate. A warm, glowing pulse spread through his chest. He gasped, stumbling a little as golden light wrapped around him like smoke. The High Elder's words echoed in his mind. "You must unlock what is hidden within you." Leora stared in shock. "Daniel, your body, it's glowing." The collector tilted its head again. "Impossible. Humans do not carry etherlight." But Daniel did. The golden glow spread from his chest to his arms and legs. It wasn't hot. It felt like courage made real. Like every choice he had ever made to protect someone was now shining out of him. The collector took a step back. "This is unknown." Daniel lifted his hand without thinking. A wave of golden energy burst outward. It struck the collector like a physical force, sending the tall alien skidding backward across the polished floor. Daniel gasped. "Did I just do that?" Leora's eyes shone with awe. "You awakened," she whispered. "Your heart answered the chamber's call." The collector stood and steadied itself. Its glowing eyes narrowed. "Human, you are now valuable." It lunged. Daniel didn't know how to fight, but his instincts did. His body moved with the golden light itself guiding him. He dodged a strike by inches, then slammed his hand against the collector's chest. A blast of golden energy exploded outward. The collector crashed into the wall, leaving a huge dent. But it rose again, slower this time. "You cannot win. I am eternal." Daniel breathed hard. "I'm not trying to win. I'm trying to protect her." Leora stepped beside him, touching his shoulder. "You're not fighting alone," she whispered. Her silver eyes brightened. A soft blue glow spread from her hands and flowed into Daniel like cool water meeting warm sunlight. Golden and blue light mixed, swirling around them. Daniel felt stronger, unbreakable. The collector summoned a storm of violent energy and charged at them one last time. Daniel stepped forward. The light around him erupted like a sun. The entire palace shook with a thunderous blast. And when the light faded, the collector lay on the ground, unmoving, its armor cracked and its glow fading. Daniel stood trembling, the golden light flickering out slowly. Leora wrapped her arms around him, holding him tightly. "You did it," she whispered. "You protected me. Father." Daniel closed his eyes, hugging her back. "Always." Queen Serana and the elders rushed into the transport bay, their eyes wide in amazement as they saw the defeated collector. The High Elder bowed his head deeply. "Daniel of Earth, you are now more than a guardian. You are part of our royal line. The chamber has chosen well." Daniel exhaled slowly. He had arrived on this planet as a random human. Now, he was a father, a protector, and a hero of a species far from home. Leora held his hand tightly as the elders led them toward safety. Their new future had just begun, one built not by blood but by choice, and by a heart that glowed brighter than any star.